Okay, this is something that I've been hearing about for at least a week. There's a woman, I know her first name is Olivia. Um, this is her TikTok, but I'm viewing this and using it from a channel called Legal Bites, Bytes. This woman was a DoorDash driver or an Uber Eats driver or something, and her instructions were to leave the food at the front door, outside the door. When she got to the residence, she noticed the door was opened a crack. So she decided to walk right on into the house. The guy was sound asleep on a couch, had no pants on, he was naked from the waist down. And she took out her camera and filmed him, and then filmed her and put it on her TikTok account, which is monetized. She's claiming she is the victim of a sexual assault. Where the guy was in the privacy of his own home, sleeping, left instructions for her, but like a lot of people today, it's like they don't know how to read. She took it upon herself to walk in, put the food down, take out her phone, record him, and then record herself leaving the residence, making sure she showed where the residence was and shit. And she's the victim. From what I've seen, the guy didn't even know what was going on until the cops went to his house and woke him up. How is this sexual assault? Well, it is sexual assault. But she's not the victim. The man is. She thought who the hell she was, pulled out her camera. She had every right to do it. She did not. She needs a lot more felony charges for what she did. Because if she was a guy and the guy was a girl, she would be raked over the coals by now. It's amazing to me how these drivers, delivery people think they're more important than the customer. So what? If she wanted to go upstairs to his bedroom and start going through if he had a jewelry box or whatever, she would have the right to do that. And if he caught her and yelled at her, she'd still be the victim. This is insane. Let's check out Legal Bites video.
Why am I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down? And why am I getting strikes? Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim.
Where was she assaulted and where was she the victim? She was not supposed to enter the guy's home. The instructions were leave the food in front of the door, outside. She decided to walk in. That's her illegal move number one. She pulled out her camera in a private residence home that she wasn't even supposed to be in and started recording. That's breaking the law number two. The guy was laying there naked, sound asleep. and she just recorded him and put it out there because she's the victim. No, she's not. If she really felt scared for her life, why didn't she just turn around and walk out? No, she took the time to take her phone out, to record him, to talk on video, and she didn't go to the police until after she put it on her TikTok, and people on her TikTok, the dopes that they are, said, "This is sexual assault, go to the police."
I lost my job. I'm the victim.
No, you're
This
not.
TikToker recently went viral for posting a video of a DoorDash customer of hers who was asleep on his couch in his living room, naked from the waist down. And after going viral, she decided to go to the police about the incident, saying the customer sexually assaulted her, even though he was asleep the entire time that she was at his property. Since then, TikTok took down the video and all replacements that she tried to upload. DoorDash fired her as one of their gig workers, and she was arrested for 2 felonies: unlawful surveillance of another person and dissemination of said unlawful surveillance. And now, on December 4th, 2025, she made her first court appearance for her arraignment. And despite the fact that she self-snitched all over the place in her various TikTok videos about this whole incident, at this arraignment, she pled not guilty. And from what it looks like, the only real defense that she has is by continuing to double down on this idea that she's a victim of sexual assault. We'll talk about why that is, and we'll talk about why this means that looking down the road, one of 2 things is likely to happen. Either she's going to go through some kind of difficult character development and a process of growth and maturation, where she ends up taking some kind of a plea deal, which means that she takes responsibility for her actions, of course, or she's going
A plea deal doesn't mean she's taking responsibility for her actions. It's just the least amount of shit that can happen to her. The least amount of money she might have to pay, the least amount of time in jail. It is in no way, shape, or form her taking responsibility. It's her trying to find the easiest way possible out of this situation. She has never said she was wrong. If she came out and said, "Wow, I was just upset when I first saw it, and my mind jumped to this and that, and I was scared," I would have a little bit of sympathy for her. But that's not what happened. She used it as content to make money off of it. The guy was naked. That makes it porn. She should be lucky she only got charged with those 2 things, because she was also illegally entering his residence and trespassing, and then taking the picture of him and putting it all over the place. If he was a woman and she was a man, this would be going a whole lot differently.
to dig her heels in until the end of time and 100% get convicted and end up with a worse sentence simply because she refused to give up on her deluded self-victimization. If she takes that path, she could end up as the poster child / cautionary tale for why you really shouldn't go through life seeing yourself as a victim of the world. Let's get into it.
Yep.
Okay, so if you need more background on this topic, we recently put out a video talking about the whole subject from top to bottom. So if you haven't already seen it, feel free to check out the video linked in the description below. Also, side note, you may have noticed that after moving in August, we finally got our stuff. And only about a month late after it was supposed to. Mr. Bites and I have been using an air mattress this whole time, and let me tell you, I do not recommend doing that for like 3 or 4 months. Anyway, I've been hard at work over the last few days getting our home organized, but at least my office is done enough so that I can start filming videos again. There will likely be more change. Tingly is an experience gift voucher, beautifully packed. Let's talk about what happened with the DoorDash girls' court appearance. So really, the only thing that's changed now is Olivia Henderson, also known as DoorDash Girl, has now been arraigned, and she entered her plea of not guilty. And I guess I'm not all that surprised that she went with a not guilty plea at the outset, because that's pretty common, actually. Even in cases that don't really look great for the defendant, it's sometimes there's enough there that by entering a not guilty plea, You can retain some amount of leverage for a plea deal where you might be able to get some of the charges or penalties removed or lowered. If prosecutors have bigger fish to fry, for example, they might be more likely to negotiate a deal that the defendant might not otherwise get if they just enter a guilty plea from the outset. That said, there also is a benefit to pleading guilty if you think that your case isn't likely to win at trial. That's because when it comes to sentencing, judges typically will use their discretion to assign a lesser punishment where they can if the defendant pled guilty as opposed to.
I don't think anything should be lessened for her. I think more should be put on. She had no business entering the guy's home, and she was in such danger and in fear for her life. She stayed there, pulled out her camera, filmed him sound asleep on his couch, walked out of the building, showing the building, whatever she was doing. She wasn't afraid. She was insulted. And instead of going to the police with how scared she was, she put it on TikTok so she could make money off of it. And again, if she was a guy, and the guy in this case who is the actual victim was a woman, this would be going way, way different.
To letting it go all the way to trial. And the thing is, if Henderson's case does go all the way to trial, I think that her chances of winning are slim at best. To explain that, let's first talk about what the prosecution needs to prove with these charges. As a reminder, there are two of them. The first is unlawful surveillance, and the second is dissemination of unlawful surveillance. Now, the second one is basically where you do all the things for an unlawful surveillance, or you know that an image or a video was obtained through unlawful surveillance, and then you take the additional step of selling or publishing it. So with that, let's dig into unlawful.
Which she did. She published it to TikTok. And with her getting paid, in essence, she was selling it. I'm telling you, if this was done to this piece of trash, it would be so much different. The guy was sound asleep. She was not in danger. And anyone saying, well, he could have popped up. He could have done this. He could have done that. Coulda, but didn't. This is wrong. I remember I had an Instacart delivery once. The guy gave me my order, and I'm looking at the bags as he's handing me them, and I said, are you sure everything's here? Yeah, everything's here. And as I'm trying to say to him, look, you said on the site you got everything, but you're only handing me 2 bags. You got everything. Nasty motherfucker. He leaves. I go through the bags. Most of my stuff was gone, and some of the stuff was there that was in the bags I had never even heard of. What the hell were veggie straws? I didn't order any kind of potato chips or whatever, but there were veggie straws. So I called up Instacart. They had to refund my entire order. And the guy did not get paid for this trip to my house. He didn't even get the tip. Within an hour, he comes back to my house, literally banging hard on the door, knocking. And the door wasn't locked because I had gone through the things and I forgot to lock it. He turned the knob, opened the door when I was reaching for it, and said, look, you shouldn't have called Instacart on me. You should have called me and told me there was a problem with your order. Motherfucker, I told you when you were standing here. 2 little bags, but you got all my items? And he's like, don't you ever do this to me again. All nasty and shit. I started to feel afraid. Slammed the door, locked it real fast, called the police. He ran out the building. Then I called up Instacart and I told them what he did. In coming back, he got fired. These drivers think who the fuck they are. I even saw the video of one guy. This woman ordered 4 cases of water and a whole bunch of groceries. She didn't tip him what he felt he should be tipped. So he started taking her groceries back in his car and took them back to the store. That motherfucker should have been fired. One, these places pay you a salary. And then you get the tips. But you think who the fuck you are? Oh, I don't like this tip. Why do I only get this tip? Why blah, 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 blah. Maybe the people couldn't afford the tip after they did the shopping. Well, then they should have gone to the store themselves. Who the fuck do you think you motherfucking are? This is your job. Shut the fuck up and do it. And a tip is not guaranteed. It's a gratuity. It's a thank you. You act like this, you don't deserve a motherfucking thank you, and you don't deserve your motherfucking job. Unbelievable with all these fucks.
Surveillance, since it's needed for both of these charges. Here, the state is charging her with a violation of subsection 1 of that statute specifically. And under subsection 1 of the New York Penal Code section 250.45, the prosecution has to prove the following. First, the defendant intentionally surreptitiously recorded / broadcast another person. Second, the defendant recorded that person while they were dressing, undressing, or otherwise revealing their intimate parts.
Both
Third,
did.
the defendant did this when the person had a reasonable expectation of privacy. Fourth, the defendant did all of this without the person's knowledge or consent. And finally, the defendant recorded the person for the purpose of another person's amusement, entertainment, or profit, or for the purpose of degrading or abusing him. So looking at all of this, element 1 is easily met. We know that Henderson recorded the DoorDash customer because that's what went viral on TikTok after all. We also know it was an intentional recording. It's not like she happened to be vlogging her work or something and a naked man walked into the frame behind her and she didn't intend to record him. She saw him there on the couch and decided to take her phone out and record him.
That's fucked up.
Second, we also know that the recording included an image of him naked from the waist down. I'm not showing that part of her original video for obvious reasons, but it is out there on the internet. And not only that, but Henderson also told TikTok that she showed the video she took to the police after she finally reported it, and she also emailed it to them after that.
And they sent a police officer over to speak to me in person and watch the video that I have. And then he asked me to email it to him. And he asked me if I want to press charges, like, what do I want to come from this? And I said,
so they have the video sent directly from her, which means that it's going to be impossible for her to fight these first 2 elements.
Exactly.
Anyway, then there's a part about the man's reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, for one thing, Henderson,
unless it's a Democrat judge, because 99 something % of Democrats like the perverted shit. And things that aren't right, they like to say, yes, it is right. So we'll see what happens.
Knowledge again to TikTok that there are issues of privacy here. In fact, she said that the reason that she hesitated to call the police was precisely because he was in his own home.
But I didn't report this to the police last night because I wasn't sure of DoorDash's process for like SA or if this was even reportable to the police in New York State because he was in his home.
Now, of course,
because he was in his home, passed out. You took advantage of him. I don't want to hear this shit. Women can't do that. Yes, we can. We are totally capable of doing sneaky, slimy shit like this. And she did it. Now she wants to say she's not guilty. But she recorded herself doing it. To me, this is, if you've looked at my other videos and you've heard me use what I say a term of Shaggy, there is a singer named Shaggy who has a song out, It Wasn't Me. She is a perfect example of this. Okay? You knew you weren't supposed to walk in that door, but you saw the opportunity to do something you weren't supposed to do. Then when you saw him sleeping on the couch, you pulled out your phone and you recorded him. He's in the privacy of his own home. Okay, the door was open a crack, but you were not told you could go in. You were told to leave the food outside the front door. You made the choice to do that. You made the choice to stand there, look at him for however long you did. You knew he was sleeping it out cold. Because if he was awake and saw you there, you would have gotten exactly what you fucking deserved, whatever it was, if he did anything to you. And I don't want to hear, oh, that's wrong. No, it's not. It was wrong for her to be in his home. Well, he left the door open. So what? Just because a door is open to crack doesn't mean you have the right to just walk in. You don't. What the fuck? And you saw she recorded and showed the house as well. He could be getting harassed up the wazoo because people might be trying to Google his house. And she's the victim? Bullshit. She's a dirty piece of shit.
Whole point is that she maintains that his door was wide open when she approached and that you could see him from the doorway. So I imagine that she's probably going to.
It wasn't wide open. It was a crack. And even if it was wide open, you still stay outside, knock, and say, DoorDash, I'm leaving your food here like you said. And you take a picture of the food left in front of the door and that the door is wide open. No, she walked in. Who told you to walk in? Oh, I thought the door was left open for me. If you're walking into your home with a whole bunch of groceries and you don't close the door right away and somebody walks in behind you, they're in the right, you're in the wrong. Right? Fuck you.
To dispute this element. I mean, she'll probably say that he didn't have a reasonable expectation of privacy because his door was wide open. But I, of course, also have to point out it has been reported that the police said that they reviewed the man's ring footage showing his front door. And according to police, the door wasn't wide open when she walked up. She let herself into the man's home. So if they...
There you go. She is completely in the wrong, and she feels because she's a woman, she can cry rape and it's all going to be okay. There should be stiffer penalties for women who pull this shit. Because women who really are victims of sexual assault, because of just bringing shit to the door and ringing the bell, and they get grabbed and dragged in, this bitch is making a mockery of that. She's no victim. She's the perpetrator.
do in fact have that footage and it does depict what is being reported it depicts, then yeah, she's pretty cooked on this element as well. Then there's the fourth element, recording a man without his knowledge or consent. If you've seen the original video, yeah, he looks pretty unconscious. Now, she claims, of course, that he laid there naked specifically because he ordered and then saw that his DoorDasher had a female name. And this is to suggest that he wanted to be seen somehow. However, the fact that the instructions said to leave the food at the door says otherwise. And honestly, I don't know what facts she even used to concoct that theory, because there is nothing in the original video that can suggest anything other than the fact that he's just totally passed out on his own couch. And
she's a woman and she feels she can get away with whatever she wants. She is trash. You just embarrassed that man, not only nationwide, but possibly worldwide. How many memes are going to be made of that guy making fun of him because of this dirty little bitch? And she's screaming she's the victim? Get the fuck out of here.
For this element, the prosecution is likely going to call the man as a witness to describe his night, how he got drunk, what he remembers about ordering DoorDash and undressing and laying on his couch to sleep. And he'll likely say, no, I did not consent to anyone taking any photos or videos of me while I was sleeping on my couch. So based on what's publicly...
You can see it in her video. He consented to nothing. He was sound asleep. But she wants to pull she's not guilty. That bitch needs to go to prison. And any bitch who pulls that shit. Because now, what if a guy decides to play that shit? What if a guy decides to use that and do something to a DoorDash driver that comes to his door? What if a DoorDash driver does that to a woman? The instructions are leave the stuff outside the door, but he happens to see through her window she's changing her clothes and the door's open a crack. You're going to blame her? She bears a tiny bit of responsibility like this guy does. But that's 1% out of 100%. The 99% falls on this dirty little bitch.
known, I think this element is likely to also be pretty easily met. So out of these 5 elements, she's pretty cooked on the first 4 so far. And now for the 5th one. This is where the prosecution has to prove her intent in filming him. And the thing is, usually intent is one of the hardest things to prove in any case. That's because it requires digging into the mind of the defendant. And that isn't always...
First off, the bitch put it on TikTok, a monetized channel, that she is now complaining about videos being taken away. I think she complained about her monetization being taken away because of this. She is the victim. You even said, she said on a video, she didn't know the laws. Yes, you did. You knew you weren't supposed to go in. Those instructions are left there so things can run smoothly. You disregarded them and walked into the fucking house, knowing you weren't. Oh, I thought he left the door open for me. So you walk into a strange person's house, and if something happened to you, you would still be claiming you're the victim? Meanwhile, you were given no permission to walk through that door and enter that house? And what if he had a gun? And here he is seeing a figure walk in his house and he just shoots her. She's still going to claim she's the victim and he planned this? If he planned this, why was he passed out? Why was she able to go in, film him, which I don't think was for a second or two. I think it was for a little longer than that. And able to walk out, leaving his door wide open. for anyone to walk in. Take this little bitch's driver's license away. Put her in prison. Even when she gets out of prison, she doesn't get a driver's license. Let her take public transportation. Don't let her work for anything like this again. Don't let her work for like a home health aid service or whatever. Because look, the guy was passed out. That could have been a medical emergency. That guy could have been laying there having a stroke, a heart attack, and she's just filming him for her TikTok. She didn't know. Oh no, he planned this. He didn't say just walk in the door.
So easy. But unfortunately for Henderson, she opened her mouth all over TikTok and made this element way easier for the prosecution to prove. Now, obviously, she says that she recorded him because he sexually assaulted her and that she was recording it so that she could report him. Now, for starters, in my last video,
1, he did not touch her. So where's the assault? Oh, he was laying there with no pants on. And this was planned? He didn't get up the entire time he was there. She was there.
easier for the prosecution to prove. Now, obviously, she says that she recorded him because he sexually assaulted her and that she was recording it so that she could report him. Now,
there you go. So she could report him. Who did she report him to first? TikTok. She wasn't afraid for her life. Not at all. She even said, well, that was creepy. And she bragged about what she did. She bragged about being the victim. Whatever you put on these social media sites can and will be used against you in a court of law. Well, that's not right. Well, did you put your shit on private? No, how would I make any money like that? Exactly. She saw the opportunity that this could be content that she could make money off of. She is completely in the wrong and she needs more charges. How about trespassing? The ring cam footage shows the door was not wide open. She lied. You have to come up with stiffer penalties or shit like this is going to keep happening and getting worse.
In my last video on this topic, I did lay out why this can in no way be considered any form of sexual assault, just not in this reality. But she might argue that although this doesn't meet the legal definition of sexual assault, that she as a layperson had some kind of reasonable belief that he was doing something illegal to her.
Then why didn't she go from that door, the door of his house, straight to the police? No, she uploaded it to TikTok. It's like all these women say, oh, I'm afraid of the police. They're aggressive. They're this, they're that. Start recording. Record this. Help me. Meanwhile, the body cam is showing from start to finish what actually went on. And it shows what the women were doing, what the people were doing. Black, white, doesn't matter. She ratted herself out, and now she's playing victim. This is wasting the court's time, wasting the court's money. She should be fined up the wazoo for this, put in prison, and be made to work, whether it be in the prison laundry, the custodial shit to pay all this shit off. Fuck her commissary. She works there. She has to work there. Make it a requirement and take whatever little pay she will get for doing that. And make sure she stays in prison long enough to pay that debt off. And then anyone else who tries this bullshit, do the same thing to them. You can't just keep letting people get away with it, because more people are going to do it. More people are going to try to set shit up to make this happen so they can go viral. So their TikToks, their Facebooks, their YouTubes, their Instagrams, or whatever can make them money. There needs to be more stiffer, harsher penalties.
It's not exactly a perfect defense, but I can see a defendant making a mistake about the law like that and not actually intending any harm by it. But unfortunately for Henderson, she has a number of big problems with that defense, and all of them are documented on TikTok. Number one, and I talked about this in my last video, she uploaded the video to TikTok first and only went to the police after a bunch of people commented on her viral video to convince her to report it. If the purpose of recording the man was to gather evidence about her assailant to provide that to the police, her first move should have been to go to the police, not to upload to TikTok. So right there, she already has a huge problem with using the "I was reporting sexual assault" claim. And to be clear, if there was someone who did record for that purpose and they did go to the police and only handed over that recording to the police, that would be pretty clear evidence of their intent, and specifically their intent to report what they think is a crime. But the timing of her events just says otherwise. Second, she has talked way too much about this whole thing on TikTok, and in so doing has revealed her true intent for posting the video there, at least what appears to be her true intent. For one thing, there's monetization. In one of her rage videos, she goes on about how TikTok not only took down the video, but also by taking it down, prevented her from making any money from it.
And they took down my video. They were going to have to pay me for my second story time because that was over a minute long. They were going to have to pay me for all those views I got. So no, they took that right down. They took that right down. Absolutely not. They're not paying me for that. Nope.
And the big problem for her is that this self-snitch fits very neatly into that final element for unlawful surveillance. Specifically, it shows that she posted the video to TikTok for the amusement, entertainment, or profit of someone other than the man she recorded. I think any reasonable person would look at this whole situation and say that she intended it for all of the above, especially for her own profit, given what she just said in that clip. But wait, that's not all. There's also the possibility that the prosecution can prove that she also fits into this intent element because she posted the video to TikTok for the purpose of degrading or abusing the man.
Like, this is the only justice I'm getting, is exposing this man and having posted that video and it has gone viral. Like, now he can live with shame and embarrassment if people have seen it and knows who he is or where he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the one being punished.
You're being punished because you did wrong. You did a crime. He didn't do anything to you. He didn't even know you were in his house, probably until he saw the food in his house.
He's not getting in trouble with the police. He didn't lose his job if he has one. Like, what's going on with him? Why am
Because he's your victim. You're the perpetrator. You're the criminal. He's the victim. You are not the victim.
I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down and why am I getting strikes? Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim. I lost my job. I'm the victim. Right? Is this making sense to any fucking body?
So yeah.
No, it fucking isn't, bitch. And look at how much she keeps closing her robe. What if her robe accidentally opens up? Is she going to claim she's the victim of everyone that views that video? Get the fuck out of here.
If she's going to really try to press for a finding of not guilty all the way to trial, she has to double down on the idea that the man sexually assaulted her. Because otherwise, thanks to her endless desire for internet attention, she couldn't let the incident go, and she had to keep running her mouth about it. And now, as a result, the prosecution has just about everything they need to convict her on unlawful surveillance, and by extension, dissemination of an unlawful surveillance. Because, of course, we all know that she's the one that posted the video to TikTok. And so, if the state proves that she actually did commit unlawful surveillance of the man, proving dissemination will also be super easy. So at this point, she really has two options. Either try to negotiate some kind of a plea deal, which means dropping the claim that she was sexually assaulted and actually taking accountability for her actions, or she can continue to beat the self-victimization drum all the way to trial in the hopes that she finds an entire jury of people who are willing to ignore logic to somehow agree with her that she is, in fact, the victim here. Like I said, if this goes to trial, I don't think that this will end very well for her. And if she's convicted at trial, as opposed to entering a guilty plea, the punishment is actually likely to be much harsher than if she does, in fact, change her plea to guilty before that point. But those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you think she might change her plea to guilty so that she can get a lighter sentence? Or do you think that she's going to keep her narrative?
I think if she's gonna keep going and doing what she did, because she truly believes she was victimized. His name I see on the delivery app. There have been times I've seen a female's name and a guy walks up to a door. Not a transgender, you can tell it's a guy. There are times it's showing one person and two people will walk up here and leave stuff at the door. She will keep doing this because you saw her attitude. She's the victim. No, she's not. And like I said, what if people Google his address because she showed it and start harassing him at his house? And if he moves, nowadays there's paper trails where people can just go find him again. She potentially ruined this man's life. But no, he sexually assaulted her. He didn't do anything to her. She did what she wanted to do. And now she wants to play victim for it.